Hello, everybody. Welcome to what would be Snap Take. Instead, we've got Snap Pals Chat. I'm here with my boys Progger and Explodium, and we're going to have the Galactus talk. You hit a certain age, your body starts changing, and you have to have the Galactus talk. Welcome to
Absolutely.
today's episode. We're recording this live over on Progger's Discord. Make sure you check it out at Progger Plays on Discord. Wrong word. Twitch. That's the one I meant. Check it out on Twitch. Prog, you go now.
Hey everybody. Yeah, we're on my stream tonight and we're doing an impromptu Galactus talk. And we are lucky enough to be joined by Explodium, another
Yes.
fellow Galactus lover, and we're sandwiching a Galactus. We'll call him a non-believer. I think hater is too strong of a word, but we'll go with non-believer. Yet to be converted. So how's it
We
going,
all
man?
know Galactus is basically Space Jesus. That's correct.
Absolutely.
He's a polarizing card. There's very few people that are just like Galactus.
I gotta be honest with you. If I didn't have Galactus, I wouldn't hate him.
Yeah.
I remember the first time. This is before he was in the game, but you know, and he would get pulled by like the rando locations, and he just shows up the one time, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is amazing!" And I don't care if it happens to me or if I'm doing it to other people. That animation is worth my entire Marvel Snap experience.
I think I got him once off X Mansion, and I was sold from that moment on. He just popped out, and just I had nothing else on that location. It was probably like a week into me playing because I've only been playing since December, and I was just like, "That's what I'm going to do."
Yeah. Yep, Galactus definitely called to me. So, eater of subjects. I like that a lot.
He took over Twitter for a few days there, didn't he?
Yes.
We'll get there, guys. We'll get there. So, as we decide to have this conversation, naturally, KM Best beat us to the punch by a day. We've been racing him as the most timely Marvel Snap person. You know, he has 10,000 times our subscribers, but yeah, we're racing for the subject. He just did his own Galactus talk over on his podcast, The Snapchat. But hey, KM, we're going to do it better.
He's a good guy. I like KM.
I really like Cam. I know I like the first time I was on, we talked about Cam, and I'm a pretty quiet human, and initially like his loudness kind of scared me, and I was like, I'm not sure how I feel about this human, but I immediately saw the genius behind his play, and I was like, okay, I just got to sit through this and kind of get accustomed to the loudness, and then everything will kind of fall into line, and it totally did. So I think he's great, and we've had a couple of interactions. He's a genuinely good human being.
I agree. And you know who is not a genuinely good human being?
Me.
Oh no, Galactus.
No, Galactus.
He's neither good nor a human being. So like he's not hitting any of these.
Or is it Galan? Are we talking about pre-Galactus, or are we talking about?
We're digging deep now.
Yeah, we're into the nerd files.
Absolutely.
Explodium, tell us what this card does.
Well, as it says on the screen, on reveal, it's your only card there. Destroy all other locations. It's got a beautiful animation that just really
warms
hits
the heart.
Yeah, I mean, for some, it makes a lot of people eye roll, get up, walk away, spam emote. But for me and Progger, that's what we go to bed thinking about.
Absolutely, it's like that kneel before Galactus is the last thing I hear as I drift off into Sleepy Town.
When I
you
first
know what
got
I've
the card,
never heard that.
What?
Kneel before Galactus. I've never heard it. Never had my volume out on this game since like the first week I played.
That's
just the kneel before Galactus.
If you're on your phone, your hand is vibrating. It's amazing. But
I turned haptics off so early.
The Galactus experience. You're on your phone and your hand is vibrating. Exactly.
Yeah, that's great.
No pun intended.
Oh no, I intended the pun. It was 100% intended pun.
Oh, I know.
Okay, so Galactus is controversial. We're gonna go through the Galactus lovers. I pulled two Galactus decks for us to talk about. One, oh shit, I lied. I don't know what order I did things in because I made this while I was live on Progger stream. But first, we get to choose before we do anything else the best Galactus variant. I have them all on the screen. And by the way, that yellow one is the one you asked about on
Oh,
stream.
okay, yeah, I've seen that one. The
Mm-hmm.
Kim
Kim
Jacinto.
Jacinto.
I don't know how to
Yes.
pronounce the last name, but
I think
I definitely want that. But what's the best variant? Whew.
Mm-hmm.
For me currently, it's between the Ari or Avi,
Which one
the,
is that?
the
Help us out.
bottom row, third one in or last on the bottom row.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just because that was the first one that I actually got and spent gold on. And then Flaviano, but Baby is really good too. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of looking forward to getting Pixel just so I can make a lot of people upset because there's gonna be some spice when they see Pixel Galactus floating up in the air.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. What about you, Explodium?
I mean, I will sell this to the moon. That Kim Jacinto, I've had my eyes on it for months. If they released that card tomorrow as an ultimate, I would pay the 5K and gladly do it. And you guys know I'd be splitting that until it was inked. That's by far my favorite. My entire Galactus deck is inked. I do use the one on the bottom right, I guess, the third one on the bottom. Inked, it's beautiful. I just got the baby one. I hit gold with that. But even the chibi one looks amazing to me. Flaviano looks amazing to me. Like, I think you guys knew I was probably going to like all of them. Number one is the Kim Jacinto. I would say a very controversial last place for me is actually the Lifebringer variant.
That's my favorite.
That's my
The
least
only
favorite.
one I like.
See, I love Flaviano variants. He's the one. If you guys didn't know, he did the Infinite from the season pass. Well, it's like doing this.
Yep.
And that Pixel one is actually pretty cool. I agree. I would love to use that. So definitely the Kim Jacinto.
I really like the Lifebringer one, to be honest.
As I said, it was controversial.
When I opened it up, I was not unhappy about that at all.
There is a player, and I'm trying to remember his name. I think it's Royce Townsend. I believe that's his name.
Mm-hmm.
And he has that Lifebringer with a gold background with a gold crackle flare. It's the coolest one. Like that one. Wow. That one is a thing of beauty. Hopefully, I can probably get him to post that on Twitter. We like showing off our Galactus stuff.
Jesus.
Yes. I mean, that Lifebringer with all the gold, primo.
Yeah, absolutely. He's blessing you.
It's also the one from the best run of comics, probably the best Marvel comic ever. Oops. That's the Hickman Fantastic Four run, by the way.
Go read.
All right.
So great.
So you said your favorite was the Lifebringer one.
So yeah. It's because I like that run of comics so much.
Fair enough.
The others don't feel comic-y to me, and I want my Galactus to feel comic-y.
Okay.
Yeah, I find it's interesting that you bring that specific phrasing up, comic-y. And I find there are a lot of different camps as far as art style is concerned, and there are those who they want the traditional, like this is from Marvel Comics, and I want it to look like Marvel Comics, right? And then there are those people who are very much like, if we take the bottom right Galactus, they want that ultra realism or as close to ultra real as possible.
Wait, time out. Like, he's not human. Why does he have abs? I'm never going to get past it, right? Like, he's a weird alien from, like, beyond, but he's got a six-pack. Like, come on.
He's got a six-pack because he's crushing planets, and he's also crushing his abs. Like the dude has, like, an energy input requirement that probably keeps him at like a sub 10%
He doesn't
body
have
fat.
muscles. He has no muscle. He's being a pure energy.
I know, but
No.
Sentinel has abs. Yeah, Sentinels do have like
Yeah, but
abs.
Sentinels were sculpted by men who clearly had a fetish for giant robots.
Yeah, I mean, and there are those of us out there. I'm not one of them who like robots, but it. Hey, man, whatever does it for you. I did honestly the first time I saw the card, I was like, oh, that's so dope. He's looking down. It's like it's got that like impending doom feel as far as like the actual emotional side of the art. But then right away, I was just like, dude is like ripped. Like, what's that all about? Are Korg's abs rock hard? Yes, they are special.
Oh God! Just so you know, talking in the chat as well, we've got a live
Oh
chat
yeah,
going that you guys
sorry.
can't see because I'm not good enough, as all regular viewers know, to figure out how to do it. All right, let's actually talk about gameplay. We've
Okay, perfect.
bullshitted enough about other things. This is, I think, one of the more standard Galactus decks. I looked for a bog ass standard Galactus decks. This one was played in 6,800 games. That's a lot, with a 53.4% win rate and a 0.25 cube rate, which I think is fairly standard for Galactus. Slightly higher win rate, slightly higher cube rate. All right,
Mm-hmm.
Explodium. You
Yes,
see
sir.
Electro. You see Electro on 3. How do you want to play this game?
If I'm going against Electro,
No, you're Galactus. You are Galactus. You are you. You see
oh
Electro on
me,
3. Mm-hmm.
okay. I'm definitely playing Electro, and I might snap. It depends on what they have. But Electro on 3, I mean, that's the dream, right? Especially with this build. Now, my build, I don't run Doctor Octopus. I don't run Destroyer. But this build, I mean, I'm playing it on 3. Some people may hold and play it on 4. I'm playing it on 3, and then what I like to do, if I have Electro, is I'll feint um, on turn 4 a Galactus. So excuse me, that's when I have Wave and Electro. So I'll Wave on turn 3.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of playing the Galactus on turn 4, I'll just play an Electro after it. And I used to bait Era out with that. But if I'm got Electro on 3, I still need to wait to see a little bit more. But I'm feeling really good.
Okay. Well, Prague, Wave on 3. What are you doing? No Electro in hand. Wave on 3.
Okay, so what do I have in hand?
Whatever else you have. Just assume you're doing the Galactus thing.
Okay, well, if I'm waving on 3, I'm Galactus on 4, and I'm Spider-Man on 5, and then watch them leave on 6.
That's called the
Like,
2-cube combo. Actually,
that's
it's the 2-cube combo, and it's
the reason I call it 2-cube Charlie. And when I run this guy, I usually have the inclusion of Daredevil over Wolverine because I'm not normally caring about what they're doing on 5 because my 4 post Electro is usually Ock, and all you're doing with Ock, people think Ock is there to like, oh, you can like play it on 6 after you've Galactus, and it's like, no, that's a terrible idea. Always, the only time you want to play Ock is basically turn 4 after playing Electro, so you can feed your null. And with the advent of null coming into my into my collection, that's the reason that I went away from my old school Galactus, which we can talk about in a bit.
I mean, I will add to that. Doctor Octopus pulling stuff for null, amazing. One thing I've noticed: mirror match pulling Galactus out with Doctor Octopus. Obviously, it doesn't mean a lot, but it gives you a lot of game knowledge. And a lot of times with that Galactus, you're pulling their death, their own null, their Shang-Chi. So anything that could answer your final lane you're pulling, you're also possibly pulling arrows, Magnetos, all these cards that, yes, they're going to power your null, but they could also follow up and stop your Galactus. So it's really, I don't play it in my build, and I honestly think I'm just a Kang fanboy, and that's why. because I have Kang in that slot. But I think Doctor Octopus is fantastic, and probably
Yeah, he's a different kind of information gaming tool, right? There is hang on, I think I've got chat kind of off to this. Nope, nobody has said anything, so we're Gucci. So
yeah, and this is probably how Galactus should be played. I play a very focused build. That's slightly different. And so you're probably not going to see a lot of games with it because it's probably just me and the two people on my Twitter that also enjoy the build that I run. But the build has everything. The reason that this one is good is because it doesn't fully lean into Galactus. It has backup destroyer play. You can do a lot of stuff with just these cards. Now, whenever I play Galactus, I'm leaning so hard into Galactus, but it means that I have a very consistent cube rate. I know when to leave. I know when to stay. It's kind of an all or nothing type build. In fact, I play Adam Warlock to make sure that I get to Galactus, because if I don't get him, I just leave.
And dear listeners, we'll include that deck build in the description to this video.
Absolutely. I still remember that tweet that you put out where you were talking about like why you play the style of Galactus that you play, and absolutely loved it for a variety of reasons. Not the main reason was not because of Galactus. Surprise.
So a really funny thing is, if we have the time, is my first month. I've been playing since the end of December, so my first month fully going into the Infinite push was January. I hit Infinite with Sarah Surfer, including Kingpin and Arrow. I don't know if
nice.
And Magneto. So it was a Surfer list that included those three cards. And then the next month, I had just gotten Galactus, but I didn't have Null. And I actually hit Infinite the fastest in any season that February. It was the MODOK Battle Pass, and everyone was playing discard. And if there's anything Galactus decks do very well, it is beat up on discard decks. I don't care if your Hela comes out, is going to spread stuff around. I don't care. You're putting so much stuff on there. So I actually I hit Infinite, I think, in a day and a half in February. And I think that season I may have ended up at like 160 at the end. Once I got to the bot ranks, I didn't enjoy playing that month. But the funny thing was I used Bast in that list. So I would Bast turn 1, and turn 2 have a 2/3 Adam Warlock that's pretty much drawing my entire deck in most games. And the only thing you had to do was make sure that your Bast didn't hit your death, because then you're very sad. So made it very clunky, and I did eventually switch off of it. But
so there's a comment from chat, and it's from Thor. And he says, I'm not back yet, but these are the decks that I struggle playing. I hate locking out opponents. It just feels mean. And I'm like, that, if there's ever been a statement that is very apt for what I know and love about Thor, that is definitely like on character, on task, whatever you want to call it. I just wanted to mention that.
Given that statement, let's take a look at our second Galactus deck.
Okay.
This is very similar. Fundamentally, what it does is add Shuri, Kang, and Nimrod and Taskmaster to the fun in order to have extra stuff to do. It's only like 300 games, so it's not the absolutely absurd number of games, but the stats are through the roof. I wanted to find the best stat rate Galactus I could. This was it. It's lower games, but this deck seems sweet. Basically,
isn't this the one that KM put together?
Oh,
this looks really familiar.
Maybe, sure.
Okay, keep going.
Either which way, this Galactus is super sweet. I don't know if any of you guys have experience with it, but I'm not explaining how to play Galactus. I don't own the card. Yeah. Explodium, how would you play this?
I mean, it's pretty standard what they're trying to do. Obviously, if you have until turn 6 to draw Galactus, it's more turns, but obviously this deck doesn't need Galactus to go off. I've lost to this deck before when they go Shuri, Nimrod into Destroyer. There's a lot of ways to win with this deck, and again, this is not one that leans fully into Galactus, which may be why the rate's a little bit higher, because a lot of people aren't expecting the Shuri Nimrod um, destroyer. And I don't know if you guys remember how much hype was around Nimrod and how let down people thought were with the card, but the card's still very strong, and so people aren't expecting it or including it in their math. Like they're not expecting it to spread the way it's going to spread whenever you put out a card. So I think this is just Galactus with a little bit more spice, a little bit more time. Again, I prefer the turn 4 and turn 5 Galactus decks, but you could actually turn 4 and turn 5 of this as well. So it's a very interesting deck. I don't know if I would ever play Galactus without Shang-Chi and Spider-Man, so this doesn't do it for me. But I think it's definitely its own flavor of deck, and I've lost to it.
So this is a Fathor Newman version of the deck then, because he would feel bad if you were playing like Spider-Man and stuff, versus this version of Galactus, which says, sure, I'll play relatively fair, but deal with my 20 power worth of Nimrods in this lane.
Right.
Yeah. This this deck more often, like you're going to be playing like 30 power destroyers or Nimrods more often than you will be ever landing Galactus.
Mm-hmm.
Like the ideal play line is basically like turn 2 Wolverine, turn 4 Shuri, turn 5 is Nimrod, turn 6 is Galactus on a clear line, and then you've got like
24 or 26 plus 2, so 26 or 28.
Or even better is no Wolverine, right? And you try and like capitalize on the number of Nimrods that you're getting, or you just Taskmaster one of the Nimrods, or no, you'd have to pull that off on your Galactus. But often, like I've played this deck a bunch of times, it's I think probably the lowest percentage Galactus goes off deck that I've played.
So I've played against this, and it rolls me fairly often because that Kang gets me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's turn 6, and I know that they can Destroyer or Galactus, and I have no idea what. And I'm just like, all right, am I trying to overpower this lane? Because if they Galactus here, I need to be able to beat 28 power, so that's going to be my whole turn. I can do it, but that's my whole turn. But if they Destroyer, they've spread that power out, and now like there's all this power in other lanes, and I'm not sure if I can handle that power. So you're forced to choose. It's a catch-22.
Agreed. Hassa mentions in chat, I like how versatile this is whilst still running Doc Ock and Null. And I would second that for sure.
I'm actually like looking at this deck, and
this deck makes me way happier. We love you, man.
It's kind of like it's kind of making the gears in my head turn a little bit. Like I haven't seen this particular list, but I'm seeing like the Shuri, Destroyer, Taskmaster line. I mean, I could build this and test it out, but it's just not a way that I've typically played. I usually lean so hard into Galactus, which makes my cube rates lower, and maybe my win percent lower. But I like non-chaotic climbs, so if I can limit the amount of 8 drops or the 8 cube losses I get, the better. I think I'd probably be really overconfident with this build, but it looks really fun.
Now you have to try it, and we have to come back in like 2 weeks and talk about it. Sorry, them's the rules.
I'll try it, but I think Stegron's going to be rocked out for this next month. I'm hitting Infinite with Stegron this month.
Shuri Nimrod Destroyer brings me joy for sure. Yeah, Thor, I knew this would definitely line up. And I actually have, so this is, I've confirmed it because I remember seeing this on Twitter. It was aptly named the Lifebringer Cloak. And there's a slight variation on this, but it's basically the same deck. So, yeah, definitely a fun deck. The twist that this one has is more Nightcrawler and Cloak as your first 2 cards, and then you have your Electro Wave, Shuri, Taskmaster, Nimrod. I think there was Doc Ock in that one, right?
Yeah, I don't really get the Nightcrawler as much, but Cloak has just always been a great card in Galactus.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Really things.
I'm testing it out right now. I'm still not totally sold on the Nightcrawler. Like, I almost feel like Iceman would be better, or Yondu.
Yep.
The Cloak I like because there's enough of a variety in there with like what you're doing that it's gonna kind of, are they running Destroyer? Are they, and then hopefully they never see Galactus coming. Nightcrawler just to move something out of the way so you can drop Galactus, I think. Yeah. So you can set up like that quote unquote blocked lane kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a bluff. I get it. Yep. More mind games. The more you can make your opponent think when you're playing a Galactus deck, the higher your chances are going to win, because they're going to overthink, and that's why I like capping their overthinking turns with a Kang, because then they're just like mentally like I'm out. I do play for that, and so there's a whole mental side of the game that like you can't even like calculate on paper. That cards like Kang and just like that Nightcrawler play, I love that line of thought. I love it. That's how you take a deck and you make it into something a little bit more. I've never even thought of the Nightcrawler tech. I've seen it maybe once or twice, and I was like, "That's cool," but I never thought of that. That's a great point.
I've been experimenting with a Jeff version of it as well. Just the like. So one of the common things. Sorry, do we want to move into the next slide?
It's here. Keep talking. Take your time.
Okay.
I was looking for a tweet that I wanted to read to be a jerk, but I didn't find it, so I gave up. Continue.
I hope you find it, because I support jerkism. I tried out Nightcrawler and Galactus and didn't find it super impactful. Cloak was way cooler in my opinion. Yeah, it's very situational, and it also like let's not ever stop remembering this one thing. Well, believing for sure. Great song. It tells you a little bit about my age, but anyways, let's never stop holding on to the fact that the pilot's comfortability, and when I say pilot, I mean the person who's playing the deck. It's just an old, I don't know if it's a common term anymore, but back in the MTG days, you had deck builders, deck designers. They were like, they're synonymous, and then you had pilots.
Yep.
And every once in a while you would get that like guy who could not only brew up a deck but was also a fantastic pilot, and those were like the giga brains, right? Like Jerry Thompsons of the world.
There's one of those that I follow in Marvel Snap, and I'll shout him out. I think Lambie is one of the best players of Marvel Snap. I believe he's on KM Best team.
He's almost as good as Hassa.
I mean, Haas's amazing. Lambie's who I think Haas would even say Lambie's. I think Hassa showed me Lambie actually, and I just follow him on Twitter, and like his Thanos ideas are just they're who you should listen to.
Well, you heard it here, folks. Lambie says that, or Hassa says Lambie's better than him. So
yeah. Lambie is insane, and he's a pretty cool guy to mesh with on Twitter. So. If you have,
I really like
hit that guy up, because he's one of those deck builders and pilots all in one.
Yeah. From a deck building perspective and playing, absolutely for sure. Safety is also up there, and then there's actually, I think everybody here knows Fazer. Fazer Snaps, and he's actually come out with a couple of decks that got featured over on Super Tech God, and there's been a few people that have hit infinite with him. So like he's got I think he's got an untapped potential, which he doesn't realize just yet. So
unsnapped potential.
Right.
Next slide, friends.
Okay.
Galactus love, wax poetic. Why do you love the card so much? Fire away.
Oh,
we've already talked about it a little bit, but the aesthetic for me, the fact that the card feels good to play. A card is what you're meant to play when you play it, and you're like, yeah, even if it doesn't work, you're like, yeah, I just played that. Stegron's another one of those if you haven't tried him. Even when he misses, I'm just like, dude, it's okay. We'll get him next time. Galactus, when you play him, your your phone starts to vibrate if you have it turned on. You hear the line "kneel before Galactus," and you get to watch. And a lot of times in slow motion, as everything your opponent's built goes away, and all of a sudden we're back. We're in this zone where you are the victor, where this is what you play for. Your opponent doesn't play for this. I always say they're in your house. In my brain, I'm like, they're in your house. Remember that. And I like that mentality. I like basically taking them to my own dimension and dominating the scene from there. And that whole gameplay that some people hate and think is annoying is something that I very much like. And that's why I like it.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with everything that you just said there, Explodium. The one line or the one like common complaint that I hear about why Galactus is like not a fun card is you've spent the whole game, right? And I'm going to use actually air quotes on this, the whole game, all 6 turns, because huge time investment.
The 4 minute
love slide, fella, love slide.
Oh no, I'm speaking about like the I'm throwing some logic at the hate that comes towards Galactus. First of all, his animation, absolutely love it. But just cinching off or closing off on that point is, I love the build up and the duplicitousness and the shenanigans that you have to play with your opponent in order to have a not just a kind of good win, but to get off like a really solid Galactus win. There's just as much work going into that as there is the setup of whatever. And there's so many ways to prevent Galactus. Like there's literally like a dozen answers as far as
later on, buddy.
Yeah. So Galactus,
unless your opponent is playing Hit Monkey,
he does something that no other card does in the game. He literally attacks the core structure of the game, and thematically, to me, the equalization of like, okay, we're bringing this down to one lane. There's just some real delicious feelings that go along with that.
I think I got a quote from a movie that sums it up very well. It's "Welcome to Thunderdome."
Yes.
This is where we play. You may be able to stuff me, block my Galactus 7 games out of 10, but those 3 games, you're in my house, and I'm going to show you how it's done. That's what I like.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like that home run, like swing for the fence mentality. We're just always swinging for the fence, and when we hit those home runs, they're sweet.
Yeah.
The crowd may boo us, but we're still running the bases.
Oh, here we go.
The haters have arrived, and I'm going to go with number 1 Galactus haters tweet. I found it in the meantime.
Okay.
Our very own friend of the show, Vin Kelsier. I'm going to read his tweet. It's right here on my phone, guys. I'm really excited for this.
Let's hear it, Vin.
As one of the primary anti-Galactus people since before the game went live, I'll repeat what I've said a million times. My hatred for Galactus has literally nothing to do with win rate. I agree with you that Galactus is not a win rate problem. So let's make up a card. 6-0 on reveal. If your opponent had 3 or more cards that cost 6 energy in their starting deck, you lose. Otherwise, you win. This card is clearly terrible in relation to what you're explaining. It's the most easily counterable card ever. If it gets popular, just play a ramp deck. Easy. But here's the thing. The reason I play card games is I like to build and brew decks. And these sorts of things, like Galactus, just severely restrict what I can build. Yes, you can say that's only if you care about winning, but that's not entirely true. Maybe I just want to be able to play my cards and do cool things. I'm all for counterplay, truly. But Galactus just fundamentally changes the core gameplay, which makes it not fun. And of course, if you're playing Galactus deck, you have built it to take advantage and maximize it when you do. Excuse me. Maximize it when you do change said core gameplay. I despise the card. I think it's terrible design and incredibly unfun. Hate, 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 hate.
I mean, you got to respect it. Anyone who's gonna say something, as long as you can back it up with your own logic, I'll respect his opinion. I respectfully disagree.
This isn't the reasonable one. This is the hate slide.
Okay, I mean,
Professor, how are
here's
you,
the
buddy?
thing. I've actually been caught off guard by Galactus before, recently, actually. I just remember I smiled at the end of it because I'm like, that's my guy right there. I think that for me, the cards that I hate, because I guess I'll take this slide to say this, are the ones that don't have counterplay that I see all the time. And we'll talk about it later, I know. But a good example was Leech. What was the counterplay to Leech? What was it?
Play Patriot.
Play Patriot or guess right with your Cosmo. I mean that's not something you could really counter.
Top deck well.
Right. So you have a lot of things that are, I don't know, things that go into someone's enjoyment of ruining some people's judgment. I can always respect it because we all play this game at the end of the day to have fun. But I think if you're approaching it from, I should be able to play my deck and not really worry about what you're playing, I just want to do my thing and not worry about you, you might be missing a fundamental part of any competitive card game. And that's, at the end of the day, what we're playing.
All right. I'm not going to make you guys linger on the hate slide.
No. I think it's.
You got some hate to spew? I don't believe it.
Not me.
Personally. I need you to spew some hate.
But I definitely understand like why people get upset. It was one of the reasons I was running Absorbing Man for so long, right? It just had that. Oh, Dracula is another. Absolutely. 100%. Oh my God. That's a card that there's just no workaround at all.
That's absolutely correct.
Yep.
But there are.
Well, yes, it's called Galactus on the non-Dracula lane.
No, you Magneto onto a Kingpin lane, obviously.
You Magneto into a lane that you plan to lose. You play Maximus last turn of the game. You play Widow last turn of the game.
Mm-hmm.
You play Master Mold last turn of the game. Are these the best counters in the world? No, but they're counters.
Well, Thor says, I enjoy playing Galactus, but I hate playing against Galactus.
Wait, we need to know why you hate playing against Galactus. Tell us. Join the hate side.
Yeah, Fazzer, we were talking about like deck builders and pilots and so on and so forth, and then I was mentioning that a couple of your decks were featured, and it was I think you have a lot of maybe self unrecognized awesome potential as far as being a deck builder. So you've had some really good ideas, and I'm really happy to hear that you're going to be, not yet, but soon you're going to be streaming. So just everybody pay attention for that announcement when it finally does come out, because I'm going to be definitely getting that founder's badge. So.
All right.
Right on.
We are finally onto the main event. So all complained and all hated, and then Explodium decided to blow up the internet with this tweet. I've helpfully transcribed the tweet into a bunch of different things. This is the locations that directly interfere with playing Galactus.
I read this tweet, yeah.
We're not going to read through every single one in detail, but you can't play Galactus on Par Sinister, Central Park, Dark Dimension. You can with Eternity Range, you just have to, be careful. Nowhere, ouch, Monster Island, Morag, Sanctum Sanctorum, Savage Land, Shadowland, the Big House, the Sandbar, and my personal favorite Galactus counter location, X Mansion. When X Mansion reveals on 3 and they've had to fill up 2 locations, it feels real funny.
So the reason I added Eternity Range to that is because obviously you would have to play on that in order for them to get the stone. So really the only way that you can do it is if they don't.
Nobody plays.
If no one plays on it by turn 3. But
or you have like a Jeff.
typically, people are playing on it so they don't get the stone. I don't know how many Galactuses I've landed on Eternity Range ever, but just inherently, it just because you can't really play if as the game flow goes, it's always gonna have the stone there. I'll just be honest with you.
You know who doesn't mind losing Eternity Range?
Who's that?
Those smarmy Patriot players.
You want to talk about
the
a deck I could hate on for a little bit?
wait, is the big house the you can only play 6 costers there?
No, 4, 5, and 6 you can only play, and the other one is the something island or Lonely Island. No,
Okay.
that's a band.
Sorry, I meant the one with that you can do 1, 2, 3.
The reverse, the 1, 2, 3 one. That makes much more sense. I was like, that one doesn't seem right.
Yeah, my fault.
Big House definitely interferes with Galactus.
So locations you can technically play Galactus on, but will typically get you a loss or critically hurt the deck in some other way.
Ugh.
Altar of Death, unless you've got Wolverine, Armor, Bucky, Cosmo, etc.
Mhm.
Bar with no name, or excuse me, M'Baku for Altar of Death, sir. Bar with no name, Death's Domain, unless again you're playing one of those cards, or again you just don't love M'Baku and it's hurting my feelings.
Baku Galactus is not something I've tried before, but maybe it needs.
So it's really funny. You could, if you see one of those locations, you can just let your hand get filled. You know what I mean?
Is it a thing? Are people doing that?
I mean, Jolly Roger is, but he's insane. So like, whatever. But it's
M'Baku?
hilarious
Yeah,
where
he's-
M'Baku's just like,
I think I might have seen him do that. That's actually hilarious. Cool.
We've got Ego because Ego doesn't know where to play Galactus. Ego's stupid. Krakoa because same deal, right?
Yep.
Luke's Bar, and then again, no love for M'Baku. It's okay. You don't have to love M'Baku. M'Baku loves you. You could also do that with Nimrod. Nimrod works for quite a few of these too, right? Mindscape is hilarious when you're Galactus. Although the Spider-Man play should happen before Mindscape takes place, right? Galactus on 4, Spidey on 5, Mindscape does nothing.
But that's not. That's not.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's a way.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely, and that's why whenever I see Mindscape, I start building on Mindscape because I know I'm just not. I'm either gonna get rid of this in time or I'm not. And I'm just.
If I have Wave, Galactus, and Spider-Man in my hand, I will play into Mindscape.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter. That turn 6 is useless.
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm so sorry. We are going to go back 2 slides quickly. 3 slides. We got to go back to hate. Fathor Newman dropped us with the hate. I just don't love that if I don't have a counter, then I just lose. I'm fine losing cubes. I'm used to it at this point. I just don't love that it's down to me getting Cosmo or Goose and time to shut it down. I know there were counters, but I'm just thinking of my current love, Sarah Surfer. I love Sarah Surfer too. It's what I have with. I don't feel Galactus is OP or inappropriate. I really feel some more cards that come along with it frustrate me, like Doc Ock or Spider-Man. Yeah, let's spread some hate to Doc Ock, that nerd with his glasses. That's really it. I enjoy the game. I'm just retreating if they don't have a counter or no, I'm going to lose. It's okay.
So
I like that.
I'm going to say something, and I'm not trying to sound mean at all, but that train of thought is what players like Proggers and I need. Because the truth of the matter is, you're the people that are giving us some of our wins that we rely on. Again, we're not trying to climb fast. And a lot of times, I guarantee a lot of the times where you think you have a loss, a Galactus' player is looking at their hand like, I didn't draw him. Or that procced right there. Or I don't have this part of the combo.
Mm-hmm.
We beat ourselves so much that you don't realize that even though you don't have the exact counter, unless we're snapping at you, hang out, man. You might get that win. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say.
Fazer says, I think this season is the worst season for Galactus after patch. There are so many better decks.
Yep.
I used Galactus to hit Infinite as I believe I was one of the first people to use Nightcrawler to confuse my opponent, and they did not know what I was doing.
Yep, I just talked about that. I wonder if Fazer's the one that did that to me when I was climbing. That's funny.
He might have. People thought I was Sandman. Yeah. That makes sense.
So
That
you're
makes
playing the wrong card, Faza. You should be playing M'Baku. You're confused. M'Baku is the answer. if M'Baku beat me in Galactus, I wouldn't even be mad. All right. Let's finish these locations so we can get to the good
Okay.
stuff. So miniaturized lab, unless you play a T6 Galactus. So
Mhm.
again, a lot of these are answered by that T6 Galactus play.
Yeah, that might be something that deserves a longer look at by me for sure.
The kill needs to just go away. I hate that location. Space Throne, unless you're running goblins, and goblins are in fewer Galactus.
Jeff loves killing.
But Galactus in Space Throne after a goblin is an auto win, right?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
The Vault is a boo location. TVA, and just that would be very funny. And
Now you
Weird
can,
World.
ramp off wave and get around it.
And then
and
Galactus on 4.
Yeah, you Galactus on 4 away from the TVA, so it destroys it.
Mhm.
And you're back into that open game state.
So I love seeing all of these when my opponent's Galactus. What this slide is really here to do is to tell you that if you've read your opponent on Galactus and this opens second or third, snap away.
Yeah.
Like-
And really pay attention to where we've played, because it's a combination of where we decided to put our cards that we're building our ramp with, and know that we actually have to have a ramp lane and a Galactus lane. So there has to be there's got to be lanes that support both. So if you see me building on a ramp lane and the other 2 lanes are these, I've lost and you've won. Or one of the ones from the slide before.
Next up, we have a bunch of cards that ruin Galactus.
There's so many. There's so much to talk about here. I could spend an hour.
This is what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so how does Titania beat Galactus? Help me out.
So a Titania that is dropped with priority, and this I've played literally thousands of games of Galactus.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys have seen me on Twitter, I'm the guy that has the full black and white deck and working on the full gold. It's all I played for probably 3 months straight, and I've had one player do this play to me. They read my Galactus, and I know they did because they snapped it before they did this play, and they dropped with priority Titania on the Galactus lane. Galactus came out, revealed, Titania flipped over. That's when Galactus did the check of what was in the lane, stuffed the Galactus. The Galactus then fully resolved face up, and it went back to the other side. So that is how Titania stuffs Galactus with priority.
Yep.
All right. The next couple are fairly obvious. Daredevil means you run away because if they have a counter, it makes it really obvious. Just snap into it. Goose, you need to get it the lane before. Read their Galactus lane, drop a Goose. Viper, chuck literally anything into their Galactus lane. Cosmo, if you read it, you can get Cosmo with priority. It's very funny to watch their 6-2 get countered by a 3-3.
It's not funny at all. It's awful.
It's
abuse.
Sorry, it's so sad. It makes me cry every time that I do it. Green Goblin is another one. Juggernaut. So I've juggernauted off a Galactus into another empty lane. It's a real bad feeling.
Yeah.
It's hilarious though.
Almost no.
So Polaris is so common right now. I strongly urge Galactus players to be playing less 1s and 2s.
Yeah.
That's one of the main reasons I try to generally stay away from them.
Yeah, I played both Adam Warlock and Yondu in my build. I haven't played very much Galactus in the last few weeks. That should kind of tell you guys the card maybe isn't as crazy.
I mean, I think it's just like chuck those 1s and 2s. Spider-Man is my favorite play into turn 5 Galactus.
Yep.
Oh, it's magic.
It's my second favorite play into turn 5 Galactus.
What's number 1?
Professor X is my favorite play into turn 5
Okay,
Galactus.
that's fair.
Because that shuts down the Nimrod and Wolverine bullshit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Actually, turn anything Galactus is shut off by Professor X if you can get it out.
Professor X just makes Galactus' head explode. That's the way I look at it.
Unless you're running Jeff.
Yes.
Wait, hang on. I gotta play. Shuri Galactus beats Professor X.
No, it does not.
No. It
They
has
have
to be played in the same lane.
Oh no, it doesn't. Oh, you're absolutely right. I haven't played.
It used to.
Oh, excuse me. I was trying to think of ways we could beat it, but no.
It used to.
Yeah.
I have an out of date TikTok video of like a 48 power Sentinel that was going off in my stinky garbage Galactus deck.
That's how
Right.
little I've seen Shuri since the patch. Like, I think I've played it like twice.
Still underutilized, I think. But
and then Magneto.
where were we?
So
Spider-Man.
So
Stegron?
we are on
Okay.
Stegron, but I need an aside about Stegron because 2 of my friends bought the really mediocre cards. Explodium bought Stegron,
Yep.
and our guy Yeti bought the stupid bird.
Snowguard?
Yes.
Oh, I bought that too.
Oh Jesus, dude!
I have all the cards. Yeah,
You have a
bird.
cards problem. So you're apparently gonna hit Infinite with Stegron just to prove someone can.
Yep.
So Stegron is absolutely hilarious against Galactus. Immediately ruins his shit. Yes.
Yep. So if you have
With priority 100% of the time, without priority,
if you hit priority, and this could be the same thing as the Juggernaut, but it's not near as fun because I don't know if you've seen the animation of Stegron. His tail literally comes on the screen. He sweeps it away. So imagine them dropping their Galactus and you with priority smacking it out of the way before it even reveals, and then revealing on some lane.
It's pretty awesome.
Make sure that you can't really make sure, but if you're playing the deck that plays Stegron, you can move things before then with Polaris and things like that. The deck that plays Stegron, I play Polaris, Juggernaut, Stegron, Spider-Man, anything
Magneto?
else from this list? Not Magneto anymore. But
Arrow?
I had both of those at some point, but I cut out the high end and made it a Sarah list, and it's
Gotcha.
really well. But yeah, so I main deck five counters to the card. What can I say?
Let's go back for a sec. We Special brought up a good point, and as soon as you said, I was like, yeah, debris.
See, I thought I put that on here.
Galactus.
I guess I didn't save it.
Yeah, it auto saves.
I saved it on the Excel thing, I believe. But yeah,
it's okay.
Debris, I had it on there, and I even put a LOL at the end because someone called me out. This was taken from my original post, I believe, and I left it off on there, and someone corrected me there. So my bad.
Can someone confirm, as I don't own Jeff, if this line is correct, as I think it could be good? Wave, Galactus, Jeff, Absorbing Man.
No.
Absorbing Man won't copy Jeff because Jeff is just like a it's not an ongoing and it's not an on reveal. The only thing he can do is the only limitation on him is he can move once, right?
Yeah.
Oh, hang on, I missed the Professor X. So Wave, Galactus, Professor X.
And then Jeff.
Like that would work. I just don't know where Absorbing Man fits into that. But I want to talk about
Absorbing Man, but it's fine with the Jeff.
So what that play is, honestly, it's just a worse version of the
Spider-Man.
Yeah, but it would work absolutely. I don't think you need Jeff and Galactus. I mean, you could do the same like Nightcrawler stuff with it.
Yeah, the reason he came out after experimenting is just when you're running him, he's great for early, but if he's coming out like, say you draw him on like turn 4 or turn 5 kind of thing,
there's no time to play him.
You don't want him, right? You don't want him for like after you've Galactus, you don't want Jeff at all. He's just you're not dropping enough. You're not dropping a big enough of a stat stick.
So yeah, those are the cards that ruin Galactus. I can tell you. I just wanted to say this in this video in particular. I want to look at the camera when I say it.
You're not looking at the camera.
Your camera just went off.
Did it?
Yeah.
I don't know what you did, but your camera just disappeared.
I can't see your magic beard anymore.
Oh no. I don't want to say it to the camera anymore. Hang on. Let's turn off, turn on. Hello.
Okay, so just quickly going back to the locations one, the bad ones, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Bar with No Name and the Doc Ock is actually kind of awesome, and that's the only time I would recommend playing Dr. Octopus is if you Galactus on say 5 and then you Ock on 6 on Bar with No Name. It's mean. So
am I back? Can you guys see me?
Yeah, we can see you.
All right, cool. So,
Hey, welcome back, Explodium.
yeah, sorry about
Look
that.
into the camera. Tell us.
Okay,
Tell
what
us
I
the
wanted
thing.
to say was,
Oh.
did I do it again? Did I turn it off?
No, you're still there, but you're frozen.
Yes.
Like, it looks like you're about to lean into the mic and say something super,
I
profound.
I am. Hang on, let me see if there's something lagging.
We finally found someone with worse internet than I.
It's not
All right.
bad.
I'm going to take us through the last couple of these cards. Get
Yeah.
yourself settled. Give us 1 sec. We didn't actually talk about how Leech beats it because the Hobgoblin's obvious, right? So if you're going to turn 6 Galactus, Leech obviously says no, you can't. But also, a lot of the ways Galactus wins when it goes off on 5 is null, and a Leech will turn off both the death getting cheaper and that null.
Mm-hmm.
So Leech is that win there, and Magneto's just like you have to have played a 3 basically to play Galactus, right? So if you have priority, it pulls that 3 into the Galactus lane. Galactus doesn't go off. You win on power. GG's.
Absolutely.
All right.
And there are. I mean, that is actually a really good play because I mean, most Galactus are going to be running Wave and or Electro.
Yep.
So you're gonna have that pull.
You can ramp up a Psylocke, but I think Psylocke is just not.
Psylocke is not great. No.
Psylocke is great, just not this deck.
No, oh yeah.
That's fair.
Psylocke's like Magic Home, like the best place for her is 100% Mr. Negative decks, like hands down.
Yep.
All right. Finally, lean in, do the thing.
Okay.
So I felt like I was maybe a little too critical when I was on Twitter with that post. So I want to apologize to anyone that I may feel like less of a player. That's not what I was trying to do by that. I think I may have gotten it misconstrued that people thought it was too like a guaranteed win type thing. I believe Thor said like it'd be like adding a 6-0 then deleting all your 6s. Like that's not what it is at all. Like it's nowhere near that consistent. So that's where I was trying to argue. But some people they just want to be able to sit down, play their 3-lane deck and their 3-lane game. If you notice, one of the biggest people who dislikes Galactus is Molt, and I'm not saying this is why, but his favorite deck is Move. If you love Move decks, you really hate Galactus, and I understand that, and that's frustrating.
Yeah, because you need somewhere to move to.
Yeah, and all that I was trying to do with that post is maybe show that, hey, if you know all these locations that we can't get it off on, and if you know all these cards, one of these cards you can slot in your deck. Slot 2 of them, and then never lose to Galactus again. Because if you know what to look for in Galactus, it's not a problem. And if people are losing consistently with Galactus, they're going to stop playing it.
Man, hang on. So, time out. This is the Stegron way of saying it. You said it like Galactus before. Read your last quote. Own this. Own your take.
Yeah. Do it, man. Do
it.
Okay.
You want me to, I mean...
Yeah.
Let me remember what I said here.
Eat the world.
Okay, as a Galactus main, the more people that become accustomed to own the card themselves, the harder it's going to get to play on the ladder, which is true. Mm-hmm. If I'm going on if a Galactus player is listening to me real quick, there are nights where Galactus feels like the best deck in the game by far, and there's nights where it feels like absolute trash. Why did I build this? Everyone knows how to play against it. Those nights, I stop playing Galactus and I play something else. You, as a player, can make that every night. If you know how to beat Galactus and you're consistently doing it, less of us are going to want to play. If you're a knowledgeable player that knows game state and how reveal works, you should never lose, more than 2 cards or 2 cubes to Galactus. You have to adapt. And again, the harsh truth is that we need players that don't know how Galactus works for us to thrive on the ladder. So if you want us to not be on the ladder, and I wouldn't even say we're thriving, we just are able to exist, then I would say that, it's not me trying to be rude, but if you know, the less you know, the better it is for us. So by me, not like learning you, I guarantee you a lot of people that are watching this already knew this stuff, but you got to learn the interactions and how to read the games, and then you can just punish Galactus game after game. And I punished the discard players in February. Punish the Galactus players in May. Make it your goal to learn the interactions, read it when it's coming, and stuff it. And when you stuff a Galactus player, do what every player who stuffs Galactus does. And spam your emotes, send us on our way. If you think that you can't stop us, take the 1 cube, go home. Think about how much that stinks for us. Like, oh man, we're going to win, but we only get 1 cube. Or we do win, we get 2. It's not all like Galactus does not go off every game. When he does, there's a good chance we're going to win. But it's up to you as the player to take agency to learn counterplay. Any competitive trading card game, you're going to have to learn to counter cards you either don't like or lose to. And the fact is that Galactus is not a high win rate card. It may be high usage right now. There's more tokens floating around in the game right now than ever before. People are going to get their Thanos. They're going to get their Galactus. They're going to try Galactus for 3 weeks. They're going to make it to about rank 85, which is the wall. And then they're going to be like, I can't play Galactus anymore. So it takes a certain mind state to actually, like, I have to be in the right mood to play Galactus 85 plus in the ladder. Because there's a good chance by the end of the session I've played 3 hours and went down to 82. And at the end of those 3 hours, I may have gone up to 88, but I'm definitely not going to be at 95. So it's not, I would say, I don't want to say this for a fact, but most of the people who complain about Galactus have not played the deck themselves. Some of them have, and they have valid points. Their enjoyment's important too. But trading card games, I say TCGs, but online competitive games, Hearthstone, your Magic the Gatherings, Yu-Gi-Oh, Digimon, all these games, there's cards that people hate that aren't good, and the ban list never hits them. So I wouldn't expect Second Dinner to fix this problem. It's up to you as a player to fix it yourself. And if you're not willing to do that, it kind of sucks to be you, but I don't want to say it that way. It just, you need to take your enjoyment out of Second Dinner's hands and do something about it yourself. That's what I would add.
So Thor
this has
says,
been. Wait, stop. Hang on. And this has been. We're well over an hour now. This has been Snapchat Talk. If you like Galactus, enjoy sucking down worlds. If you don't like Galactus, get good. That's what Explodium says. You can't take it back now.
Not exactly.
Enjoy.
Okay.
Enjoy, and we'll see you tomorrow for another Snap Take.
Cheers.